Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, Isis, Imitation of Life. The Goddess Next Door helps a young black girl overcome racism during the era of Jim Crow in this Golden Age Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Imitation of Life in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today.
Tuskegee University has announced a new dress code banning bonnets, durags, sweatpants, pajama pants, slides, and other casual attire, as the president of the university is pushing for the students to present a more professional appearance on campus. Now, a lot of the young people who attend Tuskegee University are upset because the president has banned them from wearing bonnets, durags, sweatpants, pajama pants, and slides on the Tuskegee campus. And a lot of these youngsters think that the president is looking to do harm to them by telling them that they have to dress more professionally when they are on campus. But when I look at this whole situation, it's just the president trying to go out here and get the students ready to go out here to compete in the real world. Now, the big problem with a lot of young brothers and sisters is that they've grown up in a dysfunctional culture, and as they've grown up in this dysfunctional culture, basically what's happened is a lot of us have basically let our kids go out here and dress however they please, and as they've been going out here looking all raggedy, wearing pajama pants and slides and bonnets and durags to just go out here and do basic stuff like go to the store or even go to school dressed like this, we're basically doing those kids a disservice because we're not preparing those children for being able to go out and compete in the real world. And when it comes down to competing in the real world, a person has to dress for the job that they want. And if you want to go out here and be able to work someplace once you get out of school, you have to start preparing by dressing in professional attire before you even go on the job. And that's something many kids don't understand these days because sadly, many parents haven't done a good job of modeling how to dress for their kids in front of them. No, when it comes down to a lot of parents these days, they're not looking to go out here and dress in a way that is presentable to their children to show them how to go out here and dress. No, they're the ones basically modeling this dysfunction by being in front of their kids in sweatpants or pajama pants and durags and slides, and that's just not the way you go out here if you are about anything. Now, when I was a kid, basically my mother and father, what they would do is go out here and make sure that they were dressed properly, and they would go out here and make sure that I was dressed properly, wearing a pressed shirt and pressed pants and basically clean shoes, because what she wanted to do was get me in the habit of looking presentable all the time. And by the time I graduated high school and I was ready for college, that's how I went out here every day. Every day I went to school, I basically was out here looking dressed, basically wearing shirts that were pressed when I went to college, to class. And I also had on my pants that were basically washed and pressed, and had on clean shoes all the time. And I went out there because I understood that when I'm on campus, I want people not only to see my work, which was top notch because I graduated at the top of my class, but I wanted people to see me as someone who was presentable and on point as related to everything. Because when you're out here on the college campus, basically people are talking about you and talking about your work. And sometimes what happens is your work can be so good that people will want to go out here and look to recommend you. And what can happen is that if you're dressed right, that person can go out here and make an introduction of you to someone else, and that can lead to you getting an opportunity to be able to move yourself ahead, whether it be with an entry-level job or an internship or even an opportunity to work on campus. If you're dressed for the job, you might get a better chance at getting an opportunity at that job, or an opportunity at that internship and that opportunity to move yourself ahead. And that's why you have to go out here and make sure that your clothes are on point and your hair is on point when you're out here moving around on either a school campus or a college campus. Basically, with a campus, you're going out here looking to get yourself ready for the world of work and getting yourself ready to be able to compete. And when it comes down to folks who are out here dressed up in bonnets and durags and wearing sweatpants and slides and pajama pants looking like they go to sleep, what's happening with those folks is that they're not dressed ready to compete in the workplace. No, they're not ready to compete on the job. And when it comes down to folks who are dressed like that, they're not dressed to be someone anyone looks to take seriously. No, you can't really take someone seriously as related to going to work for you if they're dressed like they're getting ready to go to bed. Nope. Basically, when you look at that person, you're just going to be thinking this guy is ready to go to sleep and is not really passionate about anything. Because if you're really passionate about something, you're going to come dressed ready to do the job that you're ready to do. That's what a person who is serious about college is all about, because college is a place where people are learning to get themselves ready for the workforce and looking to get themselves ready to be competitive, because in a professional environment, again, you're going to be competing against hundreds and even thousands of other people, and the way you stand out is by looking dressed and presentable. But sadly, when it comes down to a lot of our young brothers and sisters, they basically have seen many of these entertainers and media types basically looking all raggedy in addition to their parents. And sadly, what they don't see is that they're not really being prepared to compete, because they're told, just dress to be comfortable. But is it going to be comfortable for you when you're not able to go out here and be able to get the work that allows you to get the bread to go out here and be able to pay your bills? Critical question I gotta ask all the youngsters out here who think it's cool to be out here with your hair in a bonnet or your hair in a durag, or coming out of your house basically dressed up in pajama pants or some slides. That's not a good look for you when you're trying to go out here on these streets to go out here and make a living. Nope, that's not showing that you're serious about anything. If anything, it just sends a message to everyone that you're a laughingstock that nobody needs to care about. Because if you don't care enough about your appearance to go out here and make it presentable, you can't ask somebody else to go out here and take you seriously as related to working for them or working with them. I mean, if your stuff ain't on point, you can't ask somebody else to go out here and take a chance on you. That's where a lot of these kids get it all twisted. They're thinking, oh, you should accept me as I am, but nobody's going to accept you looking like you just came out of bed to go out here and work for them or work with them. Nope, that's a bad reflection on their business and a bad reflection on their company, because when you hire people, again, they representing your company. And what does it look like when you have a woman who's working your front desk with a bonnet on? What does it look like when you got a guy at your desk with a durag and a baggy t-shirt and pajama pants and slides on? I mean, what does that look like if you got people in your business dressed like that? That's not a good optical look for professionalism. It's not a good optical look for anybody who's looking for a job, and it definitely isn't something that anybody would consider to be an individual who came out of a university to say that they're job ready. And basically, when I look at these kids on Tuskegee's campus, again, it's basically an affront to the founder of Tuskegee University, Booker T. Washington. Now, Booker T. Washington, when he founded Tuskegee University, wanted to prepare black children to become adults who could be capable of going out here and building their own lives. But sadly, when it comes down to a lot of today's kids, again, they're not getting prepared for life because they're growing up in dysfunction. They're growing up in a culture of dysfunction that teaches them that basically the job has to accommodate their dysfunction, and that's not how it works in the real world. Nope, that's not how it works in the real world at all. When it comes to the real world, you have to get yourself job ready, and it's expected that somebody in a university would know how to go out here and come to a campus dressed in basically at the least a pair of jeans that are well pressed, a nice clean button down shirt, and if they are basically working on things like internships and stuff, basically have a tie on at the minimum or a nice suit. Again, when you are a person in college, you're supposed to be working towards becoming a young professional. You're supposed to be working towards getting yourself on point. I mean, that's the way it was for me back in the 1990s. When I would go out here and I'm on the college campus, I would try to be, again, dressed as best as possible. Now, sometimes I would put on casual shirts like I do like this in the summertime, but most of the time, I always tried to make sure everything was crisp and everything was on point, because I know that people are not only looking at my work, but they're looking at my appearance. And when they look at a black person out here looking like they basically came out their house, like fresh out of bed, that doesn't make people look at a black person positively. No, it doesn't make people look at a black person and look at them and say, hey, that's somebody I want working for me. No, all it does is basically send a message to the world that this black person isn't somebody you want working for you. No, it sends a message that this is a lazy black person continuing to reinforce and perpetuate old racist stereotypes about black people that came around ever since the days of slavery. Because one of the caricatures that they have about black people is that we're lazy and shiftless. And when you see a woman with a bonnet on her head, or a dude with a durag on his head, and wearing sweatpants and slides and pajama pants, all that does is reinforce those old stereotypes about black men and women and make it where many racists basically have a justification to close the door on you, and as related to rejecting you for jobs and rejecting you for opportunities that you definitely would be qualified for if you were attending one of these schools. And it also, again, isn't a good look for your school when you got guys who are going to an HBCU, again, and going out here and looking like this and looking real bad like this all around. It's not a good look at all. Now, what I find to be sad is that some people are so upset and getting all mad in their feelings, but that's how it, but the whole thing is they don't understand how it works in the real world. And some of these people will be sitting there talking about, well, you should transfer from this Tuskegee to another school. And again, if you go to another school, you're going to see all these other kids not dressed in no bonnets and no durags. No, when you go to a place like when I was working at City College, basically those Arab kids, those African kids, those white kids, they were all dressed and on point. They were dressed ready to go out here and possibly, if they had to go to work, would be able to work at one of these companies. They could go from school to work, and they were ready to compete. But when it comes down to these black kids, again, we got people looking to enable these black kids as related to their excuses and saying, oh, it's my right to dress like this, not understanding corporate America's response is to close the door in your face. Now, they already don't like black people working for them, and because you basically, when you go to these companies, you are behind enemy lines, but don't go out here and give them more justification and more reason to close the door on you by going out here and dressing in the bonnets and the do-rags and the sweatpants and the slides at school. No, don't give them that ammunition. No, when it comes to Tuskegee University, I have to say that this president is on point by looking to demand better of his or her students. They're looking to go out here and get you up to a level as related to improving your quality of life, because when you have people dressed up in bonnets and do-rags, again, it's saying that these people don't have a standard or have any sort of self-worth or self-esteem. And the way you dress, the way you carry and conduct yourself is a reflection of how you see yourself. And that's why anybody who is on point ain't thinking about coming out their house with no bonnet, no do-rag, no sweatpants, no slides. No, you gonna come out like I do. I mean, when I'm out on the street, I'm coming out in a shirt that I basically either steamed or I ironed, and I'm coming out with pants that basically either they are pressed or they are out of the wash or the dry cleaners. I'm trying to come out here looking crisp and on point, because even though I don't have a job, I want to make sure that I'm on point if there's an opportunity coming. And that's the way you need to be if you're going to college. Again, going to college is about looking to get yourself in a place where you are taking the higher learning to take you on a higher level. And when you got your students dressed up like they're getting ready to go to sleep, it's showing that they haven't really learned anything about life on your campus, and that's not the way it should be at Tuskegee University. No, if you're going to a university, you should be dressed like you ready to go to work. You should be dressed like you taking this education seriously. You should be dressed like you ready to compete. And this is what you need, what it comes down to these black kids. Again, we need to start thinking about getting our standards up, because we used to be about the standard of excellence. Again, Booker T. Washington was all about the standard of excellence, and we need to get back to those standards, because people dressed up in bonnets and durags, they're all about the standard of ghetto and incompetence. And again, we can do better than ghetto. We can do better than ratchet. We can do better than any of that. And we need to get back to our standards and get black people back to being on point as they're going to school at these college campuses. Now, if you want to pick up some of my books that talk about college life, you can pick up my novel, The Thetas, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And that story talks about a young black woman who pledges a black sorority. And I also have other books that deal with black college life and black life overall in the SJS Direct universe. And you can find those books in the ISIS series, the Esteem series, and the John Haynes series. And my upcoming book, ISIS No Goddess is an Island, talks about ISIS's journeys as she starts as a student in an HBCU in 1910. And that book will be coming out in 2027. Basically, it's about ISIS's journeys as she went to Spelman College. And it's a book that I'm looking forward to sharing with you next year. And if you want to see me make more videos talking about black colleges and black college life, because I was a college student back in the 90s, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and e-readers, ISIS Legacy. The sorority secrets of the goddess next door are revealed in this all-new ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS Legacy in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere.
Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, An Offer He Can't Refuse. The man who rules the world gets a job offer he can't refuse in this action-packed all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes, An Offer He Can't Refuse at Amazon.com and other online booksellers. Now available in paperback and e-readers, ISIS Runway of Doom. The goddess next door struts her stuff on the catwalk to take on a runway of rogues in this action-packed all-new ISIS series adventure. Get your copy of ISIS Runway of Doom at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, Esteem a New Woman. The devilish diva starts on the road to becoming a new creature in Christ in this all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem a New Woman at Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Support black-owned and black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.